My family was asked in 2015 to help me tell the truth. I've never had a carer. They were told in 2015 I'm getting dragged into a social and support working, mental health working, carers, even suicide working scam. I'm dragged into this. Can you help me because I hold a green card to the US? I've held a green card to the US since 2014. My mother mouthed off and argued back. She turns it and blames me for this. I'm like, I'm not going to wear the blame for what people are saying behind my back that isn't true. Or better yet, for what Giovanni said behind my back that hasn't been true since I met him. What he's involved organisations and mental health workers into this as well. It was a good scam. When I met Giovanni Craig and Salvo, he was living in a share house in Kensington. He had no money, struggling with massive amounts of debt that he would never pay off in his lifetime. His debt was just frivolous. Night clubbing, parties, gay parties and shit like this. Holidays. Now, he had nothing to show for this debt. He didn't even own the 3-door hatchback. His entire life packed into that 3-door hatchback. Okay. All he had was a mattress, an Xbox, and a small TV to play the Xbox on. He told me he was having a breakdown. He was having a breakdown because of the way that his ex-boyfriend Mark Gilchrist had treated him. He told me he was practically a carer for Mark Gilchrist. That he had to cook and clean and always race home. He couldn't hold down his job. It was his fault, which is why he was unemployed. Sound familiar? It's exactly the story Giovanni told Matt O'Rourke at the Reach Out organisation about me. It's a con. It's a scam. Only difference is I guess Mark Gilchrist had a good network and, well, see, I'm a person that have actually had injuries after work when I was mugged and robbed November 3rd, 2007. So the only difference is that Giovanni didn't get away with it with Mark Gilchrist. Mark Gilchrist obviously kicked him out for whatever reasons. And Giovanni was living with Paula Ingebertham, who's since moved to, that was her mother's place in Kensington. When Paula Ingebertham's mother died, there was Paula and her sister. They sold the place and Paula went off to Lismore, Coleman Street, Lismore. She's since sold that place and went to Nimbin. Now, I mean, she can confirm what Giovanni had, which was nothing. His entire life packed into a 3-door hatch, he moved into my place. Okay? He lived for free. For a good 7 years, never had to pay any rent or utilities. He lived off me. These are the facts. Okay? Now, I didn't go through my money. I still had a shitload of money. Still in 2015, still in 2018. I never went for the savings that I made from Star Casino. I was on a $47,730 a year salary package. I got to bank most of my salary package at Star Casino because I was working side jobs like I did for Jeff, who ran a tough and glass business out of his parents' place in Hunters Hill, where I worked 2 days a week, well, minimum of 2 days a week. $300 a day is what I was getting paid for. That's a good extra about $31,200 a year on top of my salary package of $47,730 a year. I had an investment property 16 Scott Road in Tamworth. When I sold it, I had a very little mortgage to pay out. There's $189,000 profit there that sat in my bank. I already owned all of the expensive jewelry, clothing, assets, belongings, cars, and so forth before. Predominantly most of it before I was mugged, and predominantly all of it before 2012, before I moved into Rushcars Bay. So you can actually, pin that. All of it was already pre-owned before these lies started in 2015. There you go. Now, when I was mugged after work November 30th, 2007, I went straight back to my studies. So basically this is what happened. I'm on my way home. I've got a good memory for it all, except for the part where I got hit hard and then I woke up in hospital. I can tell you everything that happened. Okay? Now, with this, it was a Glasgow coma. Star Casino was holding my, they're being arseholes. They were holding my job up. Okay, basically. And I don't mean that as a derogatory term because I love that organisation. It's the pencil pushers in an office. Okay, so yes, I've got injuries that have to be recovered from. Once you have a major injury like this, they want to basically, retire you out. And that's true. That's what they're like, shit, this is a big injury. They're like, you can't come back to work. Yeah, it was a big injury. But my attitude was, yes, I can. So they then implemented a 10-year part salary payment with a return to work at the end of the 10 years, with hoping that I would be retired out. You see, I wasn't going to have any bar of it. So I was making sure I was doing everything right to be able to return to my job as a VIP host back at Star Casino in December 2017. Now, this is the facts. Okay. So I was allowed to study and I was allowed to do work experience during that period of time. So I went back to my studies. Now my previous TAFE college studies, so let's just focus on TAFE college, nothing outside of TAFE college. My TAFE college studies was Fine Arts Certificate in 1996, first year completed. Then it was I changed to design. Design Fundamentals in 1997, first year completed. Design Fundamentals in 1997, touched on fashion design, logo design, product design, furniture design. It's in the name, Design Fundamentals. Now, when I was mugged after work, I went to the orientation in 2008 to do with Enmore Design Centre, TAFE College. And then I applied for different TAFE courses and so forth, and I ended up accepting the one for Design Events and Illustration Certificate 4. I completed I did really well in my first year, where my in-class work, I've still got it, design a wearable object. So this would be the second time I would have studied fashion design at TAFE College. I got a good pass for design a wearable object. I got a credit in that pass. I also did really well in furniture design, but the problem is I didn't hand in the finished product. So all my designs apparently, so if I should probably write to TAFE and say, can I have my teacher's notes for my in-class work? Because I did really well with furniture design. Okay. And other aspects, logo design, with Linda Christie's class. I really need to brush up on graphics. I've got all this still here. So this is all 2009, it's already old stuff. And then for 2010, I went and I was still studying at Enmore Design Centre TAFE College. However, it was out of Alexandria. I did a short course in interior decoration. I completed that course in interior decoration design. Yeah. During this time as well, I'm working for Steve Hatch and Mitri. So just doing freelancing. Now, I wrote it down to work experience. However, yes, he paid me. Okay, I'm, if I have to disclose, like Steve got annoyed with me because he said, Justin, don't tell people I paid you because it's cash in hand. Nevertheless, he still paid me, but I was still paying taxes on my return to work. So I was still receiving an income from Star Casino. And I understand what Steve's saying, but, okay. I have to tell the truth in this factor because this is now destroying 11 years of my life and I'm furious because of it. So, myself still having a lot of money, I can back this up with bank statements. I can pull out all the bank statements going back to the 90s and I can show you even where my cash in hand job was paid into. For example, when I was working for Tough and Glass with Jeff, lifting Tough and Glass around. I can show that. I can prove what I'm saying to be the truth. I can back up everything out of my mouth with a supporting document. The only thing I don't is have a support team. I don't have a legal team to back me up. So I can back up everything. So during this time of being mugged after work, I'm meant to be working on my health, maintaining my health conditions. And I was still doing this. So I was doing everything right. I was going to my appointments. I was maintaining my health. I went back to my studies. I'm doing work for Steve Hatch and Mitri. I worked for Steve Hatch and Mitri from 2009 until 2012. I did design Jamie Wright's sofa. Jamie Wright came into St. Peter's where I was working and she had the script, basically was rambled off what she wanted. So there's floor sofas and she wanted this style sofa, but she wanted it to be half, to come down with a dip, a round circle, and it had to be two parts so it would fit into her shop. So I drew up, I've got it somewhere, where I've drawn this up. I drew up what she wanted. She goes, yep, that's right. So then this is how I used to do it. So then implement my designs into Steve Hatch and Mitri's computer system. So then I had to work out by looking at the existing floor. I've got it here. By the existing, yep. Here we go. So the existing templates that was used for the warehouse, and I would have to change those templates to fit my design. And that's how I did it, including, so for an example, these are my brief designs of the floor. So then I'll be changing it. So here we go. I know this is just on paper. But still, this is what I was doing in design. So for Jamie Wright, I took, where is it? The New York style sofa, just here. I was looking at the templates on that. It's okay, we start off as Ascot, go down into the New York style, measure from this height to, to here, split. And so I did this. I implemented this into the computer system and sent that off to the warehouse for warehouse to make her sofa. I've got, this is just showing you the templates that I was relying on. And I've got all these on record. I've got all these on record in documented. Who else could document this? Well, why can't Uncle Tony? Because when they were looking for a new sofa for their place in Maryland, I said, why don't you ask me? I'll design it for you. I work for a designer warehouse. Mum, In 2010, I had to leave because Steve rang me and said, I need you to get down to the warehouse. I'm like, I'm in Tamworth. And he's like, I need you there. Like, he was away. I was like, okay. So I left Tamworth and drove on Boxing Day and went and opened the warehouse. And did. Yeah, because I had a good job there. I was working design, getting good. Oh, here's Jamie Wright's one. Yep. Here we go. So here's my notes on Jamie Wright. All right. See? So, this is what I was doing for years. See? So I can back up everything I'm saying to be the truth. And that's the thing. So, that was designed in 2010. It went into a shoe shop in 2011. This is what I was doing from 2009 to 2012. So, nothing I've said was untrue. Then, in 2011, so while I'm working for Steve, Hatch Dimitri, and when I just finished my last TAFE College course with Emmore Design Centre TAFE College that I actually studied outside of Alexandria, when I finished that, it was the interior decoration. I went and applied for a green card to the US. So I started the application in 2011. Now I contacted the US consulate in the MLC building, which is where it used to be, the Consulate General, to ask. Now I was still on a return to work and I didn't want to screw up my return to work at Star Casino. So I could either do a study, a work, or you could just apply there's other avenues where they're like, look, it takes years. You may go through 2 years process, miss out, and you have to start it all over again. I'm like, oh, that's fine, because I'm not ready to move until after the return to work's finished in 2017. So I opted for this way to keep going with my studies, plodding along in Sydney, doing what I need to do, and then see if I got through. Oh, I got through. Okay, my interview. So I have my health checks with the immigration. I can pull those out. Where are they? Somewhere. I can't pull them out. Where are they? Good question. That was back done. Let me pause it. So while I find these documents, that was done back in 2014. So I still have all of my medical documents, including the letter that Dr. George Jacobs. So they have the original. This is the copy of the original that Dr. George Jacobs had to write to immigration. This is my health check. I still have this. That's my green card. Okay. Here's all the details from immigration that I took in, for my interview in 2014. When I came back from America in 2015, I came back as a permanent resident of America, temporary in Australia, as a permanent resident of America, so I could pack up and finalise things in Sydney. I needed 2 years to finalise things before I was ready to move permanently. So everything that's been done towards me from certain people groups and organisations, including government workers in Australia, you have broken the law. You have. It's international laws and human rights laws that this is all about. There's no mental health issues. That you've created these issues since 2015 by lying about me. Now, there is no delusions or anything like this. Basically, a mental health organisation said he's got a delusions that he studied design and he's got a green card to the US. Well, that's not a delusion. I do have a green card to the US. I'm a permanent resident. This is what now I'm going to actually go and tell the US government in my meeting and say, when I say, why are you out of the country so long? Again, I'm just going to tell them the truth. Australia's held me in Australia twice now against my will as a permanent resident of America with this bullshit mental health scam that they're doing in Australia. It is a scam. It's been a scam for 11 years. So I come back from the US as a permanent resident. I'm slowly packing up and relocating to America. I find out that my partner, Giovanni Consalvo, had been doing a carers scam behind my back for years. First time, in my defense, the first time I found out about that really was in March 2013. But then Nan had the strike. I didn't follow it up. I didn't discuss it with Gio. I knew that he'd done something wrong. It wasn't until 2015 when I realized how, oh my fucking God, how dumb are you? And he's not arrested for it because I'm the one getting lied about. And police think what information they have is true, but it's not. What they have is bullshit. Like I said, America wasn't therapy. It's not Greyhound therapy. It's not something else. You've literally just lied about me for 11 years and damaged my life. And then you stopped my return to work. So New South Wales Police stopped my return to work at Star Casino in 2017. I do have an email back when I was discussing that going, what happened? it was meant to be a discussion about return to work. And because of what New South Wales Police did and what New South Wales Police is doing again, and they're not going to stop until I get a legal team to actually take on New South Wales Police. So in my interview at the US, because I'll probably just lose my green card anyway, I'm going to sit there and I'll be telling the truth about what Australia's government does. Exactly what New South Wales Police did when it comes to breaking the law, human rights and international laws. And that's what I'll be doing. Making Australia the problem, because Australia is the problem. They're the ones that broke the law in my life with your little scams. You didn't believe something to be true because you believe in my ex-partner that did a carer scam. Yet there's no truth in anything that's been said since 2009. And I don't know how many times I've told my medical team, do not rely on the neuropsych report. I was really pissed off that day. Like, I'll do another one if you want, but don't rely on it. Like I told him, so I don't rely on that. It's like, why? It's like, oh, this is the most ridiculous thing. Marcelo Rodriguez is there going, can you repeat back words like bell, chair, teacher, desk, hammer, axe? I was like, fuck off. Then he gives me some white and purple blocks and says, can you make him in the shape of a triangle? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? No, he just really rubbed me the wrong way. Anyway, that's why. So what I've said is the truth. This is a scam. Not what I've done. What I've done is honest, told the truth. I haven't done anything deceitful. Everything that immigration has is correct. They've got all my transcripts from TAFE College. They've got what I've done as, okay. If you want to say, but Justin, you did work and you paid taxes on it. Okay, fine. That's the only thing that's deceitful. But I'm putting it down as work experience. That's the only thing, okay? Jesus Christ, I was paying enough freaking taxes. And I didn't want to, the whole reason was I didn't want to screw up my return to work. I was looking forward to having my job back in 2017. Okay? I wasn't going to give them a reason to retire me out. So you guys don't get, my job now, the salary package for hosting at Star Casino is about over $79,000 a year. I wasn't going to give them a reason to retire me out. But thank you, government workers, New South Wales Police, you did that for me. Let me just get some other stuff to do with my design work. And I'm going to tell you people that, yes, what I've said is the truth. My mum's been asked since 2015, I need a good legal team. This should have been done in 2015 to tell the exact truth what I'm telling now. So things weren't going the way they just did in the last 11 years. Okay? I'm over this. New South Wales Police need to be dealt with. Legally. They need to be dealt with legally. And they can. We've already had a Royal Commission into Police Corruption. I think it's a bit overdue. We need another one. Because they think that they're above the law at the moment and they're behaving like they're above the law, which means they think they can break into national laws and human rights laws. It's about time we get a federal government to come heavy-handed down on state government workers and make sure that they realise that you are not above the law just because you work for the government. Now, when I was talking about my logo designs and so forth, this is my brief from Linda Christie's class in 2009. That's my teacher, Linda Christie. Okay. Calligraphy, writing, and other stuff I've also learned. That's right. I'm not good at it. But TAFE College in 96, 97, and 2009, funny enough, they all had calligraphy, courses and so forth to do. See, Giovanni's really annoying because he could have told Matt O'Rourke and all these organisations to fuck off. He could have said, look, I lied to you, Justin and I argued or whatever. I wanted to look Matt on the sly. Like Giovanni could have told him the truth. So just leave Justin's life alone. It doesn't, but no. He's been asked since 2016 to tell the truth. Yeah, this is all my classes for 2009. That's all the classes I attended and studied in 2009. So the only thing I actually got a really good pass for was design a wearable object. And I wasn't going to do anything with it. I wanted to go furthermore with furniture design. And then why just stop? I get this all the time, like, Nan had a stroke. Like, I literally only stopped in the period of time Nan had the stroke. That's what you guys don't get. I was still doing all this until Nan had the stroke. Right, here is, I'm not going to take all this out, but these are my designs. Okay, these are my designs. These are all my in-class work. I got better as I went on. Okay, you can look at these and go, oh, that's not great. It's amateur. I'm like, okay, fine. It's first year. Okay, but I got better as I went on. This is all my 2009 work. So all my 2009 work. Oh, and then, sorry, I'm also part of some drug using scam. I don't use drugs. Oh, but that is my artwork behind me there as well. I studied art. I worked in art. I've won competitions in art. I've studied design. I've worked in design. So I can say I'm an artist and I can say I'm a designer. Okay. So the little Justin uses drug scam, everything is about covering up from somebody else's bullshit. Even here, where I currently live with the deadbeats in Housing Commission, they're trying to cover their ass. And they'll keep doing it. New South Wales Police will keep doing it. They're going to cover their ass because they're wrong. And I don't have a decent legal team yet to fight for me. Let's see if my mother ever's going to do that. I doubt it. Here's my brief to do with the magazine. Okay. And here it is here. So it's to do with wine label and a poster. So we had to do a mock-up winery. So we had to think of something to call. And I had just come back from Kings Plains Castle near Glenniness. I was like, oh, I'm going to call that after Kings Plains Castle. Like, it's a mock-up. It's for your schoolwork. It's your study work. So here's my first in graphic design. So I was using... so I didn't take the photo. You didn't have to do this. You had to, do what the brief said, do a poster and make up a mock-up winery. So here's what I made up. I mean, a mock-up winery, here's the poster. Okay, still past that brief. Didn't say you had to go out and take the photo yourself. No. You could just, that's what the brief was, it's there. Right, there it is, you had to, I completed the brief, basically. The same as the wine label. So these are, still, okay, using an image and had to change the image. See, so all this color here. So I didn't just this is all me. So basically this image is from like the 1900s. So I'm not around the 1900s to take it, but the color that's put into this is all me. So this color up here, so this is all through graphic design, because this was just a basic photo from the 1900s and I changed it. So yeah, so that's what I did, which is the same here, and I'll show you what I've done here. So edited the photo for the 1900s. And the same here. So this is all my work. So of course I didn't take this original photo, but I have changed this original photo to fit in here. This is all my work here. See, this is someone else's work. That's just me using a photo from that's there and change. So this is all my work here. So all this blending in here to make it look like an old sort of black and white slide. That's what I did on the computer work I've done. So this is all my work, and I'm just using another image there, which that's allowed. I mean, I could have probably got one of the photos that I took when I was up there, but so all this is what I did in 2009. This is all my work still. Okay, so yeah, I wasn't around in 100 years ago to take that photo 100 years ago, but so that's not how the photo was. I've changed it, and so that's my work. Okay, here is the set design that I did. So set design, this is all my set design stuff. Okay, set design stuff, set design, mood board for the set design, some more artwork. Okay, I'm going into my artwork. Chair design. Now, so whoever's brought out these saddle chairs, yeah, I did it first. Here is my brief for the chair design. Here's the brief for the chair design. Okay, these are my first designs. I got better. Much better with my designs. So these aren't that great compared to what I've done since. Okay, so yeah. Plus then there's also here interior decoration design. Okay, so this is the course I did. So I've still got all my work to prove and back myself up here. Perspective drawing and so forth, furniture design, so I can back myself up. So that's when I completed all this, I then applied for a green card to the US. So I didn't lie, I didn't over embellish. Everything I've done, and it's there. Now, everything that certain people, groups and organisations, including government workers such as New South Wales Police and even Housing Commission, have done to date since I was lied about in 2015 Okay, what you did was break international laws and human rights laws. I came back from America as a permanent resident of America in 2015 and temporary in Australia to pack up and relocate to America. Since all your behaviour towards me since 2015 is criminal to date.